What do you say, guys? As we talk Cubs baseball today, we got one of the all-time great Cubs, Jon Lieber, is going to join us. Before we get there, though, let me remind you that you're hanging out with us on the Cubs baseball channel. Make sure that you like and subscribe. Give us a thumbs up, and let's talk some Cubs baseball right after this. What do you say, everybody? Welcome to the Cubs baseball channel, and it is really great to have Jake Coker, my partner on Disrupt the Media, hanging out with us, and former Cub, Jon Lieber. Man, look, everybody here is going to be like, what the, like,
Alabama stuff behind
Alabama
him.
Stuff behind this guy. He's got an Auburn shirt on, and we're talking Cubs. What's up, man?
You talk about mixing it up a little bit.
Yeah, that's what we do here. That's what we do here. But great to have both of you guys on here on the Cubs channel. Jake and I do Alabama coverage, and I know this is kind of crossing streams as happens sometimes in the world. But I can't wait to talk some baseball with you and Jake. If you guys don't know Jake, he was the national championship quarterback for the University of Alabama back in 2015, a great athlete, got to play baseball growing up, and then was in the NFL with Arizona. And then, of course, Jon Lieber, who, great career. I remember cutting school and watching you pitch at Wrigley Field back in the day, man. I mean, you were on some of my when I was like totally locked in on Cubs as a kid, watching you pitch was in 99, 2000, those years, man, like it really started for me in the 80s, but those were the teams. I loved Sammy Sosa. I think I've talked about this before. And then those teams that you played on meant so much to me as far as my fandom goes.
No, I appreciate that. Those were probably some of my best years in my career is playing in Wrigley Field. There's no better fans than Chicago fans, to be honest with you. And, it's something, you never forget as a player. And I, you hear the stories, even going back there now, people bring up about, hey, I remember you pitched in this game or that game. And the sad part is they're probably 28 and back then they were 7. So, yeah. Trying to realize that, all right, these were little kids, but no, look, it's such a great honor to be here doing this show with you guys, first of all. And I really appreciate it. And, talking baseball.
Jake, what about your baseball fandom, man? Like, where are you? I know you're a Braves fan.
I was always the Braves, but it's like we talked about on the show previous to this. My dad got me on. I mean, well, we met when I was young. You don't even remember that, I'm sure.
So Stanky Field?
Yeah, tell us about this.
No, it was
the Rattlesnake. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And
explain it to us that don't know. What are we saying here?
Well, so when I was growing up, I mean, there was a few guys from Mobile that pitched, and Peavy was after you a little bit.
So you're talking about Jake Peavy.
Yeah, Jake. I think Jake came in 2000.
Yeah. So, John and Jake and as far as pitchers go, I feel like that was it for Mobile at the time. But I was eating up with baseball back then, and my dad always, he wanted to watch the Mobile guys, and that's when I became a fan of you and Jake Peavy. Kind of that same era, you're watching baseball with your dad, and we're either watching the Braves, the Cubs, or back then it was the Padres or the White Sox when Jake was around. But it's kind of cool. Now we're 10, 15 years after that, and sitting here doing a podcast with John.
Yeah,
so it's pretty cool.
Well, there's such an Alabama tie with the Mobile area too, with Billy Williams. The sweet swinging Billies from Whistler, Alabama, which is a Mobile town, and and listening to him talk about Mobile and playing with Satchel Paige, which is, and I've told you guys this, on another show we did, is if I could go back and see one guy play, it would be Satchel Paige. I just want to see what that excitement was like. I'd want to see the gyro ball that he threw, just the different stuff that he brought to the table. Billy grew up with, with his siblings, played with them and, and barnstorming and stuff. And he's from down here too.
Well, he always asked me whenever I'd come back home for a break, and I'd always get back there to the clubhouse. Hey, did you bring some back? Did you bring back some of that Mobile water? I tell you what, Billy, Billy loves Mobile.
He does.
I mean, he loves it. I mean, he talks very highly of this area, and like you said, the history with sports around here. I mean, way up there for sure.
He wouldn't like your shirt though. I'm just going to tell you that right now.
Yeah, you're probably right about that.
I know. Trust me, I know I am. Well, let's talk about the spring training right now. Cubs are in spring training, kind of trying to figure out this roster, what's going to happen. You got Pete Crow Armstrong, who's one of the top young prospects that's looking to make the team. They just signed Cody Bellinger back. He's a Scott Boras client, and that was a big deal for the Cubs. Craig Counsell's the new manager. Your thoughts on where the Cubs are right now, and how much have you paid attention to what's going on? And then what do you think about like spring training when you have young prospects trying to make the team? Because you've been through that before.
Well, it's I'll be honest with you. I really haven't followed a whole lot. I hate to say that. The game has changed quite a bit for me, so I'm just being honest. It's just a big turnoff for me. But I think the one thing, looking back to last year, I did follow a little bit of that. I think it's just being more consistent. I think down the stretch, and I think I was somewhat surprised by the move of them letting David Ross go and bringing in Counsell, which I think is a big move on their part. Obviously what Counsell has done with the Brewers for I don't know how many years, being successful. They're hoping that's going to rub off, with the Cubs. So I think it's just getting over that hump, if you know what I mean. I think they're close to being contenders and being pretty consistent with it. So,
did you play with Craig at any point in time?
Played against him when he was with the Marlins, and I was trying to think who else who he's played with.
Was he one of those guys, or some of those guys I know you played with have to be coaching, obviously, in the MLB, but when you see them play, you're like, man, that guy's going to be one hell of a coach one day.
You just know it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, somewhat, I guess. The one thing, that stands out for me about Counsell was he was a tough son of a bitch to get out. I mean, I'm laying it out there. I mean, he was just a hard out to get. He was just one of those guys that was just going to grind, and I think what I admire about him now is it's played over into his coaching career, and he's hard nosed. He knows how to win. He knows what it takes, and I think that's what Chicago fans can look forward to. And he's been very successful at what he does. So.
It's funny. It seems like all the guys you play with, or at least in my experience, you play with them. The guys that end up being coaches are the ones that just are like you just grind it out. They're there for every practice. They understand what the guys doing on the opposite side. Just have a mind for the game and anticipate the next play coming up. And then just they have these just gimmicks that get things done. And you're like, how did you even think of that?
Yeah, right. Their minds work different.
Yeah. It's like you think about this so much that like you go to bed thinking about this.
Yeah.
Well, I think they're, and on that note, and you might agree with this being a football player and all that, but I think being great communicators, with the players and stuff. I truly believe if you're not a very good communicator, you're not going to be a very successful manager or a coach. You've got to be able to understand what the players are going through, not just on the field, but what's going on at home. And obviously those guys do that, and probably the one coach that stands out for me was Charlie Manuel. He was
one of the greats.
He was the best communicator that I've ever been around as far as a manager. So Nothing against the other managers. I've had other great managers, but I think guys like that, and I think it goes a long way. It rubs off big time.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Sammy Sosa? I'll be honest. I'm going to tell you mine, just to throw it out there. I wish that
you lead off first.
Well, I didn't play with him, So I mean, and I don't want to lead you in any direction. I don't know him personally. He's not one of the Cubs that I ever met, but to me, I'm from like kind of a forgiving spot, and maybe it didn't end well with him, but I had so many great moments watching him play. I've asked Coon Dog about him, and he liked him as a teammate, and it just kind of seems sad to me that we don't ever see him anymore.
Well,
but him, that's different to me. I didn't play with him. I wasn't in the clubhouse, so
the whole situation's sad. And I'm not just talking about him. I'm talking about all the other guys that got thrown underneath the bus. And let me backtrack on that. When you throw a bunch of these guys in front of the cameras and they want them to confess to taking things, Mark McGwire is the first one that stands out. He was the first one that came out to where, the media really scrutinized him on, you are taking stuff. You've been taking this. What is this? Why are you doing? I mean, look, the bottom line is there was no rules set in place.
Right.
For these
How
guys.
was that for you as a pitcher? You got to face these guys.
I had no problem with it.
You didn't care.
I didn't care.
Did you know they were like a lot of guys were?
I mean,
when Barry Bonds came out and he looked like a superhero.
It's obvious. I mean, you see
who killed you? That was like one of those guys the most as a pitcher.
To be honest,
none of them.
None of them.
You changed him up a little bit, didn't you? Hit him with the slider.
I felt I was very successful against the power hitters, and I mean they got their home runs or whatever, but that is something, and I'll probably get a lot of heat for this. I can't believe you said that, or but I'm a believer in that. If you don't have rules implemented at the time, because obviously I'm a true believer that I feel like Major League Baseball knew this was going on. And
they had to know.
Yeah,
I mean,
they you're.
When it's not entertaining, how do you?
I mean,
well, they're about the money. I mean, let's be honest.
Baseball was in a bad area after the strike.
Right.
I think there's been stuff going on for years before that. But if you're not going to implement something that's not in the rule book, I mean, who's to say, somebody off the street's not going to come off and, if you got a chance to make, $5-10 million a year, you're going to do your damnedest to make that money. I mean, I'm sorry, that's just human nature.
Mm-hmm.
And what they've done to Sammy, I had no problems with Sammy Sosa.
You were there for some of his amazing stuff,
seasons. Man. Yeah, I mean, did he love the attention? Obviously,
who wouldn't? I mean,
but
what's the most amazing thing you saw him do? Hit one like off the building across.
I think it was just his batting practices. I mean, it would be the same with McGwire. I mean, just watching those guys, the way they would just effortlessly hit the ball. I mean, I saw him clear lights in Minute Maid Park or in Milwaukee Brewers Stadium.
Yeah, right.
Hitting them way up there in the lights. I mean,
whatever they call it now.
I mean, these are fine.
They change the name all the time, right?
They got names up there for those guys.
Yeah, right.
Sammy had no problem. I mean, obviously, was he probably on some stuff?
I mean, come
maybe.
on.
I mean, I'm going to leave that for people's judgment.
Yeah, right.
But it is what it is. It's a shame on how all that took place is where I'm going to leave it at. I think it's unfair to those guys. And that's just it. Great guy. Great guy.
Yeah.
From the outside looking in, the one that stands out to me the most is Rafael Palmeiro when he pointed and said,
I met him last year.
I mean, I'm sure he's a great guy.
Well, I mean, his son played on a team, and he just happened to be in there. I talked to him, but yeah, I mean, like that was finish your thought.
Yeah, when he pointed and just said, I've never taken steroids, and then it all comes out.
Yeah,
that was right about.
What do you do though in that spot?
I know. Well, the problem in that situation is, like you said, the media is probably just I mean, just poking him
Hungry.
nonstop, and he's finally tired of it, and he doesn't know how to respond. And
But was it really steroids or was it another drug?
Yeah, you're right.
Because there are different drugs out there for these guys. Everybody seems to think steroids is going to make you big, and I think that some of the stuff these guys were taking wasn't necessarily about making them big. It was about the recovery,
right?
Because you play through a season, 160 something games. Your body's going to wear down. I mean, but the ways, these guys were responding in, August, September. I mean, it's just unheard of, especially at 38, 39 years old.
Yeah.
It's starting to catch on, so it's a shame. Do I think they all should be in the Hall of Fame? Absolutely.
Really?
I don't care. I think, it is what it is. So like I said, it's my opinion, and let's just move on from it.
Yeah, look, I mean, that's I think that what I love about doing this is that we can have a conversation. I mean, I was kind of hoping that Sammy got into the Cubs Hall of Fame this year, because there was a lot of talk about that. And you were at Cubs convention. I didn't go. I think I'm going next year. I've been to a ton of them, and it would have been such a great pop to have Sammy kind of back in the mix again. I know that, but on this channel, me saying that, you saying that, there's going to be people that are going to be like dead set against it. They don't like the way Sammy left. I've talked to, Rhino. When I talked to Rhino back in, 2009 or 10, he wasn't really happy with some of the stuff that Sammy did, but maybe he's changed his mind since then too, and that happens, right?
And I agree. I mean, we all make mistakes. We're not perfect. I mean, there's a lot of things I've done over the course of my career where I'm not very proud of, that I wish I could go back and not do, and change some things, but just a little bit.
Did you like the sticky stuff?
Yeah, I like the sticky stuff. Look, let's rephrase this though.
In my head, I was like,
look,
should I ask that? Should I not?
I'm gonna flat out say it right now because I'm calling bullshit on that stuff. And here's why.
Tell us, man.
All right, when you're in Coors Field and they give you a bag of balls, game balls that you're going to pitch with, and they come out and they look basically brand new. I'm sorry. I mean,
I don't know how you throw them.
Yeah, how do you throw those? I mean,
slick. It's like throwing a brand new football.
Exactly. I mean,
not going to happen.
You need some stuff on there to get a good. I'm not looking for. I don't. This was all new to me. The velocity ratio or whatever they call it. I guess
spin rate or whatever.
Spin ratio that it was causing. Look, I didn't care about that. All I cared about is I just wanted to be able to control the ball and put it in the strike zone for somebody to hit. And hopefully it was right at somebody. So,
what do you think about all the inspections they do nowadays with pitchers walking off and they're,
I think
how crazy is that?
It is. It's crazy. It's just, I get it. I understand it. But it's like, where do you draw the line? When is it going to stop? Am I going to have to pull my drawers down and, after every inning? And
it seems to be the case.
Yeah. I mean,
talking about that, did you know Gaylord Perry?
Never had a chance.
I got a chance to hang out with him. You talk about this guy was Vaseline, like everything that you could possibly put on a baseball.
Yeah,
and he loved to talk about it.
I've thrown a ball with Vaseline, and it is phenomenal.
Is it?
Incredible.
That's what when I was talking earlier about how the human element of baseball, the stealing signs, what can you get away with? Baseball seems to be that sport where you keep pushing the.
Well, it's part of it, man.
It is. It's
Charlie Huff. Like who was the guy that had the nail files in his pocket? And then
he throws it. He threw
it. They caught him with those.
That was Necro.
Necro, yeah. Which another guy I met. Yeah.
I mean,
love those old school pitchers, though, man. The guys that were just in there like 50 out there throwing and getting outs.
You got to do something, man. Make the ball move.
Yeah, well, you know what? But those. What's that?
What about and you can just say next question on this, no problem. And this is not meant to be a gotcha moment, but I'm genuinely very interested. Were you there for the cork in the bat incident?
Oh wow, good one.
I was
because I've always wanted to know.
That was 03. I think I was with the Yankees rehabbing.
Do you think he grabbed the wrong bat, or you think it was a?
I think no, he didn't grab the wrong bat. Sammy's smarter than that. He's not stupid.
The people that are offended by the cork bat, though, to me, it's like, man, they've been doing that forever, man. Like, that doesn't bother me at all.
I was watching that.
He got the 8-game suspension.
I was watching that game live, and that was the biggest story. Well, I mean, Sammy was bigger than baseball.
Yeah, well, that's what it all boils down to. Is just, the way it makes him look, and unfortunately, he just got caught.
Yeah.
So, but that was not the wrong bat.
Because that was the story, wasn't it? It was the bat boy grabbed the wrong bat.
Right. The funny stories is like when.
And I don't mean to put you on the spot.
Put him on the spot. Put him on the spot.
I'm just so interested.
Look, and once again, that's just an opinion. Sammy, if you're out there listening,
you better come here and hang out with us, Sammy.
I love you, but no.
If you're listening, it should have grabbed the wrong bat.
I don't care what anybody. It doesn't take away from what he's done. It's just an incident, like you said. It happens.
Hey, look, I've said it on here before, man. I'm for Sammy. I just am. Like, I can't forget all of the great moments, man. 2001, Sammy running out with the flag after 9/11.
Yeah.
And 9/11, I think you were there. It changed my life, man. Like, and that was one of the best moments of a really bad time that we had.
Oh man, that and George Bush throwing out the first pitch of after 9/11 was.
In fact, that year I started the game before the planes. That was the last game before they halted everything. And then I was the first game back. I'll never forget it.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, because we had the 7 days off.
Yeah. Wait, you start.
I had the last start the night before, and we were supposed to play that day game when all that happened. And then everything got canceled, and then I was the first start coming back. So back to back starts.
Man.
Yeah.
What was that? Was that the most electric atmosphere you've ever witnessed?
It was the most eerie.
Yeah. Probably really quiet to begin with.
Very, very quiet. Yeah. It was just it was unreal, I guess. I
can't even imagine.
Yeah. It was just like, I don't know, just kind of like being in a movie, I guess, or something like that.
Just eerie, kind of awkward,
Yeah.
Don't know whether to cheer or,
Yeah. That's exactly what it boiled down to.
Oh, man.
I think everybody was on pins and needles too. It's like, is something going to happen here or,
yeah.
I mean, so.
Yeah, I guess you forget at that time, you're kind of looking around like.
Large crowds.
Yeah. I mean. So.
You came in today and I took you in and I showed you that my dad was a big Orioles fan and a Cubs fan too. But, being from Baltimore, he was an Orioles fan and he was like, hey, he's 4 20-game winners. And I've got a picture of them, all of them signed at 2001.
Is that for sale by chance?
I don't know. I mean, it depends. Everything's for sale.
I'm a big memorabilia guy.
Are you?
Yeah.
2001 though, you did that.
That was a long
Was it
time.
because Ron Coomer was your teammate? Coom Dog?
No, I love him. He's
the crime dog over at first, man. That wasn't.
Yeah, Coom.
I love the line of the Shields too. I gotta tell you this, man. I used to that was right around the time I was playing a lot. I'd have those socks pulled up, man. I wanted to be the line of the Shields, man.
another great teammate too.
Man, I loved him.
Yeah.
Maybe not one of those Cubs that a lot of people were like, man, I loved Mark Grace, obviously Rhino, and then I loved the line of the Shields. I just love the way that the passion that he played the game with, and I love those socks being hyped up.
Yeah. Everybody's got that signature look. Yeah.
That was his. That's for sure. That's for sure. But yeah, no, great teammates. Every year I was there. I mean,
what was the most electric atmosphere you had in Chicago?
Oh Lord, probably when we played the Cardinals. Kid you not. I mean, every series we had with the Cardinals.
Just wild.
I mean, yeah. It's one of those moments in my career. I almost compared that with when I was with the Yankees and Red Sox. It was almost like pitching in the playoffs or the World Series.
Yeah.
Is what it is as close as I would get to that atmosphere. And
just every pitch, everybody. I mean,
yeah,
it's just,
it's just very thankful for those moments because I mean, they, really, very special.
Man, I tell you, I was in my head when I was asking you about the dates and how everything, because I knew 03. I thought I wasn't sure that I knew that was the year you were rehabbing, but I wasn't sure if you were in Chicago for that year. And I'd just gotten done asking about the New York series against Boston, and I was like, "All right, 03, were you in Chicago?" I was like, am I going to seriously have to ask him about that series and then about the Bartman incident right after that?
Yeah. So I remember trying to explain to Stephanie like what that Bartman game meant. Well, I was in a bad mood for months, and he got a World Series ring. So
of all fan bases or franchises, for that to happen to the Cubs.
I know, man. I just remember going. I was still at Alabama. I was a grad student and going and watching all those games in different places, and had all the Cubs fans. And
I can still see Morse losing his mind right there. I mean, I'll never forget that because I watched that game live. Oh,
yeah, that's it's very eerily quiet in here right now.
Yeah. Bring up a bad memory. Right? Let's talk about him winning 20. Can we just talk about that? And the thing about it, when I run through your year in 20-6 record and 232 innings and a third. I mean, people don't do that anymore, man. I mean, it's like if you pitch now, I mean, you think about how fresh you'd be when you throw 6 innings and they're like, all right, get him out of here.
Oh, I would love it. Especially at my age right now. No, I did.
I'd still be playing.
Yeah, exactly.
20-6, man. What a
year. I've always believed, I was very fortunate to have great teammates around me to put me in that situation. I was lucky enough for the most part, to be able to give our team a chance to win. And, I don't take the credit for that. I give all the credit to my teammates because they're the ones that make it happen.
Yeah.
I know there's been some games in there where I won 9-8 and, and I've won some 2-1. And and it just happened to be, everything just kind of fell together. Well, and I'll never forget Oscar Acosta, who was my pitching coach at the time, challenged me the year before that I need you to come back and be a 20-game winner.
Wow.
You need to be this guy that needs to step up for us. And I was, I took the challenge on and, everything worked out.
You had what was it? What was his nick? Don Baylor. What was his nickname? Groove. Yeah, Groove. He got that nickname with the Orioles. Yeah,
That's pretty good. That's a pretty slick nickname, right?
Well, he came up and he told him he was just trying to get into a groove, and I think Frank Robinson stuck it on him. But still one of those baseball lifers, man. Don Baylor.
Yeah, great guy. I'll never forget a story. We're in Houston, and Don didn't say a whole lot. He just, he kind of, he knew what was going on in the field, knew what he wanted to do, just man with a few little words. But I'll try and be brief with this, but we're blowing out.
Take your time.
We're blowing out the Astros. Oh, yeah.
We don't care. It's your time.
We're blowing out the Astros, though. And Henry Rodriguez was on our team. And
I remember him.
Doug Henry came in, and I don't know, the score's like 12-1 or 12-2. And they drilled, Henry. And so somebody's going to go down the next inning. I'm on the mound, and Don didn't say anything. He never said, "Hey, you need to hit this guy." Nobody said anything. Just knew what needed to be done. So, of course, the Astros knew that somebody was going to get drilled, and they thought it was going to be Biggio. Biggio thought it was going to be him too, but I waited till 2 outs, and the poor bastard was Mitch Milewski. He gets up there, and I'm nothing to. I'm not like Roger Clemens throwing at somebody, but drilled him right in between the shoulders, and I'm getting cussed out or whatever. And that's not my personality, but I'm going to stick up for my teammates, but I'll never forget Baylor, getting back to Don. He comes out of the dugout. He goes, word for word, "I fucking love you. You can pitch for me any fucking time." He goes, "You're the best." He goes, I love you, man. And, and it's just, I'm trying to keep my cool. And I'm like, he goes, he's just giving me a breather. He goes, that's what I'm talking about. You're my fucking guy. No, nobody would ever know that. I don't think I've ever really told that story. But,
I love that.
Just
man.
one of those moments, you never forget. But Don, I've been fortunate over my career. My managers have been great. He was a good one, but my pitching coaches have even been better.
What about Jeff Facero?
Oh shit!
I gotta test my guy, so I gotta talk about it.
I haven't seen Jeff in a long time.
That's one of my buddies right there, man.
I love Jeff.
If there was ever a left-hander, it's got to be him.
The one thing I remember about Facero, not only playing with him in Chicago.
Shout out to you, Jeff.
Yeah, he, Jeff. I was with the Pirates, and I know he remembers this, but he was throwing, I think, a perfect game, and I think it was in the ninth inning. I think it was 2 outs, and I think somebody hit a rocket right back to him, and he missed the ball or whatever, and ended up getting an infield hit. And he won't hit us, but you talk about nasty stuff.
Yeah,
back in the day. He was incredible.
I asked him one time. He's trying to explain to me what Montreal was like, and then he's like, that song about Montreal, and I'm like, no. And then when I came down here and I got a boat and I listened to Yacht Rock, that Montreal song comes on all the time.
Are you kidding me?
I didn't know it. Yeah.
I've never. I'm gonna have to listen to it.
You might. Yeah, it's a great song.
I have to listen to it too.
It's like a Yacht Rock song.
Really?
Yeah. I'm sure that like you played in Montreal. Like, what do you think that? I think Nashville's getting an expansion team, and I think that there's somewhere else, probably not Charlotte, because they're not going to want to put both teams on the East Coast, but Montreal has a chance. I think that Salt Lake has a chance, maybe somewhere else, but it's coming.
I think Montreal, I think baseball would be great going back to Montreal. I think they had a bad rap because of the situation with, the way the stadium was. First of all,
right.
The damn AstroTurf was about, I don't even know if it was even.
It's the main thing I remember about watching the Expos.
It was, I couldn't imagine these guys diving on it and stuff. It's not even like the AstroTurf today. And the stadium was just bland, and it just needed a whole new look. And because the fan base is there, people love baseball there, and I would love to see it go back to Montreal. I think Nashville would be another great place.
Yeah, it would be.
The way the place is growing, it would be phenomenal. The ones I'm worried about is Tampa Bay and, Miami.
Yeah, right.
I don't understand.
Miami's always had terrible fan bases, in my opinion.
They just don't care about.
I guess there's just too much going on. Yeah. Miami just.
I don't get it. You would think, with the new stadium and all that, and where it's located, that, I don't know if it's prices or what, but. Yeah, it'd be great though. I love Montreal.
I'm just like looking back on some of these teams that you were on, and man, it's like bringing back some memories. Like I've told you off the air, but these guys know I learned how to play first base because of Mark Grace. I wanted to be. I had all the Cubs gear. Grace, man, you played with him. I thought that he was one of the best defenders over at first base. And I love the way that he hit. I don't know why we're so fixated on having to hit a home run. Putting the ball in play is and getting on base and doubles and driving in runs, to me, is just as important, and a high batting average.
No, and I'm honest when I say this. One of the best teammates I've ever played with, honestly, was Gracie. And I've never... when I was traded over to Chicago, he was the one guy that was, welcomed you in. He was, the one teammate that would stay an hour and a half after a game in the clubhouse.
Really?
That they don't, I guess guys don't do that anymore or whatever. Hell, it might be 2 hours, sitting around, talking about the game, and things like that. Smoking during the game.
No,
awesome. No, Gracie.
Like Maddox.
Yeah,
I'm gonna tell you this story, man. I was a kid, and I didn't. We went through a box of stuff. We're going through our storage over here, right? And we go through it, and I find this box, and I have this picture of Greg Maddox when he was at the Braves. I'm just a fan, and he's smoking a cigarette behind the wall at the Braves game. And I'm like, and I said to my wife, I'm like, I didn't know I'd ever know this guy. And I love him now, man. I think he's good. But that's how baseball was, man. Dennis Wellen told me he would jog with Charlie Huff, and they'd go out of view.
It still happens. They just hide it.
He'd veer off and smoke a cigarette.
Look, Jim Leland, middle of the game, cigarette right here on the bench. I kid you not. It'd be, just like that. I mean, that was baseball.
Yeah.
Then.
And that was life back then too, man. I mean, I used to take flights and people would smoke on the planes,
Yeah.
And apparently in Europe, it's still kind of the same way. I've never been over there, but somebody was telling me that.
I remember, I think, when you get called up, you go from peanut butter jelly sandwiches to, you got the steak and chicken.
Different world.
But I think the biggest thing was for the guys that chewed was, you had the trunk that was about the size of this table, and you open it up and it's full of any chew that you want.
Oh, I know that feeling.
For free.
I worked for Skull in Copenhagen in college.
Yeah. And you take whatever you want.
Got me a lot of places.
But when I got to Alabama, we'd go to meetings, and Coach Saban's office was right outside the quarterback room, and he had this big cabinet that was like as long as this table and probably that deep. And you'd open up, and there was those Little Debbies on one side and just a lifetime supply of Red Man on the right.
Are you kidding me?
I never paid for Red Man.
We found out about the Red Man today.
He'd probably be pissed if
he can't do anything anymore. The ESPN will have to deal with that. Well, looking back on your time with the Cubs, obviously we talked about Sammy, we talked about Mark Grace, Jeff Facero, had to bring him up. But who are the guys that you remember the most, like as far as just tremendous baseball players, teammates, your experience with the Cubs?
Well, I was with the pitching core, but Kevin Tapani is another one that comes to mind. He took me under his wing, coming over there. Kerry Wood.
Oh, Woody.
I was about to ask you about Kerry Wood.
Hey, there's a guy that the Cubs have right now. His name is Cade Horton. And I'm telling people, I'm like, he's the first, like, Kerry Wood, Mark Pryor pitching prospect that we've had in a long time. I mean,
forgot about Mark Pryor too.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, man, it's like,
because y'all three, it was you, Mark Pryor, and Kerry Wood at one point.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
Think about that rotation.
It was my last. I think it was 2002 before I had my surgery. I think Pryor might have came up when I got hurt. I think, yeah. I remember meeting him after.
Solid.
Yeah. Well, when I say that, like the Cubs really haven't developed a lot of pitching.
Yeah.
And this guy's he's got the fastball, but he has an amazing slider, and he's mean as shit. Like, and I think that's part of it too, man. Like, and I'd love to hear your opinion, but when I watch him pitch and he owns the inside of the plate, like you have to be mean like that.
Yeah.
You guys want to lean over, and if you don't take care of that inside of the plate, they're going to kill you. And no one does that anymore.
No,
really.
you have to pitch in, and that's I don't know what it's like now. I don't know if guys, if they're too scared to pitch in, or if hitters have taken advantage of. Well, I know they're not going to pitch in because they're either going to get ejected or they're too scared to pitch in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that makes sense. So
I've had this arguments with my friends before, and I got to hear your opinion on it because it drives me. My biggest pet peeve about baseball is the damn elbow pad on the.
The puss pads.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
I can't stand. I mean, it just defeats the purpose of being able to throw
being able to
on
hit somebody on the elbow.
Yeah, I mean,
the puss elbow pads, puss wrist pads, ankle pads. I mean,
and one of the best in the game. But you used to drop Barry Bonds wear that damn. Cast on his
suit of armor.
And that's the thing. They've taken advantage of the whole situation because when they first came out, that was supposed to protect you from surgeries.
Mm-hmm.
My understanding was the pads, which I'm all for. But if you're gonna wear that shit, let us throw inside.
Yeah, right.
I'm sorry. That's just the way it is.
I think it should be complete. When a guy gets walked now, it takes him 5 minutes to take all his shit off before he gets to first base. It's like, I want if you you gotta have some balls to get in there.
Look, and I'm all for the pitchers hitting.
I miss that too.
Let the pitchers hit. And look, if you're pissed about a pitcher hitting you, take it out on us.
Yeah.
We got to stand up there too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it going to hurt? You're damn skippy it is. I don't give a shit, but let us pitch inside if you're going to wear all that crap.
Yeah.
And I'm not a big fan of it. It's just, it's too easy to hit nowadays.
Yeah. And having said that, I've never seen a 95-mile-an-hour fastball.
No, especially somebody like him throwing it at you.
Trust me, it's no big deal.
Yeah. Well, as we kind of get towards the end of our get together today,
we got all night.
It's I love talking baseball with you. You really had like a collection of catchers, man. I mean, you start thinking about the guys that you threw to, right? Benito Santiago, and you talk about Girardi like being one of those guys. I mean, man, I was like look through there, and I'm like, God, we had some backstops.
Yeah, there was some really good guys. Benny was. He was a character. I mean, everything he put down was a fastball. He was just like, "Come on, man, your stuff's good. You're good today." So
did you do a lot of this?
No, it's just like, I got you. But
Benny.
No, he was great. Girardi was awesome. We had Todd Hundley over there too.
Yeah, another good one. Tough one, man.
Yeah, tough.
Hundley's a tough dude.
Some great guys. A lot of catchers over the years. The funny thing is, it seems like
did you ever was Barry Hill on your team? Or?
He wasn't.
Okay, so you just missed him.
I just missed him. Yeah, I think he was with Montreal at the time.
Okay, yeah,
but Wilkins wasn't there either. I think he was there when I was with the Pirates.
Okay,
but Girardi was my guy. I mean, we just synced.
Great on Marquee too, by the way. And now I guess he's going back to the Yankees to do TV or something.
Oh, really? Okay.
That's what I heard. Yeah. So
yeah,
great broadcaster.
My bad.
No. Go ahead.
Which guys, obviously you faced a ton of batters playing. Which guys, when they walked in the box, you were like, shit, this is going to take a lot of pitches.
I'm looking forward to this.
Honestly.
And obviously, I know you don't think that way while you're pitching, but at the same time, there is a little bit of a
nobody.
Like this is going to be.
Well, it was, it's kind of a wide spectrum on that topic because it was really the guys that were very good at putting the ball in play,
Tony Gwynn.
Tony Gwynn could be tough, although I have struck him out one time. So, and it was 1 year, I think, where he only struck out like maybe 12 or 13 times.
Man,
I was one of them.
That's insane.
Yeah, it is.
Billy Miller, who was a Cub.
Yeah, Bill Miller, yeah.
His first 10 at bats, he was 10 for 10 off me. But just the guys that were just great, gap guys, that could just put the ball in play. And for those guys, when they face a guy like me, where they know I'm going to be around the plate, don't throw very many balls. I mean, it's basically 2 pitches.
Yeah.
You just got to, pick your zone. And, most of the time it was just away.
Yeah,
right. Just go with the pitch. So, but, I'm trying to think of some other guys. Eric Young was another one.
Oh, wow.
Tough out. He was another Cub.
Yeah.
Great teammate too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, those type of guys.
Yeah. Yeah. You just, every pitch you throw, you just kind of wonder if they're going to I mean,
it's like they know what you're throwing.
I guess you're not comfortable with any pitch almost.
Yeah.
I mean, even if it's a good pitch, you're like, there's still a good chance this is hitting the gap or.
Well, the one thing that sucked was if you didn't have a pitch that day, they're only sitting on one thing.
Yeah.
So,
no, they can notice it fast, huh?
Yeah. And you just, hopefully just, you're going to be good with your location with that other pitch, if you know what I mean. And if you're not, it's going to be a short day and drinking beer.
What do you think about, like some of the rule changes, the bigger bases, the anti-shift, the pitch clock, all that kind of stuff?
I absolutely hate it. I think
even the pitch clock.
I can't stand it. It's
you played in a time though, like the late, the guys are coming up and they're doing all the wrist stuff and they're trying to stretch the games out and everything,
Well, okay, yeah, I get.
I'm thinking like your Yankees days. The Red Sox were just so. It was just like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Get in there and hit.
If there was a rule change, I'm all for that. I agree with you on that.
If I'm pitching, I'm thinking like, man.
And I never really had that problem because I was ready to go.
Yeah, right. You were always known for that, right?
I was like, all right, let's go. And their thing was trying to slow me down. But I think you're right. Yeah, I mean.
Of all the rules, I'm with you on all of them except that one, just because it just got to the point where it's like, man, I don't want to hear this guy's walk-up song. Just get up there and hit.
Just hit.
But you're right. Like the shift, that should be something that these guys should just know how to take care of, right?
I totally agree. I think, the shift has burned me a few times in the past. And I just, when you start looking at numbers games, I don't give a shit about the numbers. All I care about what's the guy doing in the game or how's he going to react to my pitches.
Right. Or that situation too.
I might be one, they might have a shift on him because he's a big pull here. Well, I'm not going to be pitching him in.
Yeah. Right.
He's going to adjust just like anybody else. Chipper Jones, for example, had an at bat against me in Philly. Third baseman was almost to second base, and the shortstop's out in the outfield. But I'm pitching him away, and he just hits a little dribbler down the line for a double. And it's just like, if we'd have the guys where they need to be, just let them play. But
when did that become a thing? Because I feel like you see it all the time now.
It's analytical guys nowadays, and I'm not saying all analytical stuff is bad. I think there's a place for some of it, but I think they're overanalyzing too much of it. If that makes sense, you're getting people involved in a game that they've never played, have never been in. I think we talked about this earlier.
Yeah,
I don't give a shit what you think on a certain pitch or how the way you should swing a bat. But until you stand in that batter's box or you stand on the mound and you face somebody in a certain situation, certain counts, they talk about spin ratio for sliders. Hard is great. Okay, but do you know what you're going to do with it? I might want to take a little bit off in a certain situation.
Right.
Do guys know how to do that? I don't think guys do nowadays. I think they're so in depth to trying to throw it as hard as they can and don't have an idea on what they're trying to do up there, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And
makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
So that's the one thing that frustrates me about the game today. There's no thought process into it. There's no game plan. It's just about, okay, we need to do this in this certain situation because he's throwing this amount of pitches or this pitch and this count. Have an idea or have a game plan on what you can do on the mound and at the plate.
Yeah. So basically, the Oakland A's ruined baseball.
Yeah. Really.
Great movie.
Yeah, it was a great movie.
Great movie.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. Yeah. Who would have ever thought, though, that it would have gotten to the point now where it's ridiculous? It was like a couple teams, and now all of a sudden it's like there's all the teams. Except for, I got to tell you this, Rizzo, I guess he's the GM or the team president of the
Nationals.
Nationals. You see this? You know what I'm talking about? And he put up these signs and they say, I don't care how hard you threw ball 4. I sent it to Tim Wilkin because I said, here's the topic of our next podcast.
I'm going to remember that line. I love that line. That I never did see that, but
it just came out. I read
Really?
it today, and I sent it right to Timmy. I'm like, and you guys will hear it. We're going to do a podcast on it. Who cares about how hard you threw?
I'm going to come up with a T-shirt with that.
We should,
I'm
man.
make some T-shirts for that.
We, that should be the name of our show. I don't care how hard you threw ball 4. Who cares about your spin rate on ball 4? Yeah, so it's the thing about it is that we talked about Greg Maddux, at the other show we did, and I think he's the best ever, and I loved getting to be around him with the Cubs, and I loved listening to everything he had to say. And the thing that he kept telling the players when he was Jim Hendry's special assistant was how important it was to understand the situation that the game was in. Look, if you got 8 runs, you can give up 7, but if you have 2, you can give up 1.
Yeah.
Like, why do we forget that all the time?
I think it's a stress level for some guys when they get on there instead of simplifying things. And I think some guys' asses still get a little tight out there. I'm just being honest. You've had most guys come up that have never failed at the game, if you know what I mean. I've had my ass handed to me in college, and luckily I've grown from those mistakes to make me a better pitcher, to be in a situation where I've had my ass handed to me at the big league level, and like, you know what? It's all right. The sun rises tomorrow, and I got to get ready for my next start. Whereas you've had a guy, they don't know how to rebound from that.
Right.
And you're going to have a guy kiss his ass and, hey, buddy, it's okay. No, you need to have some. I mean, you've been there.
No, yeah.
Saban's jumped your ass, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
And
the analytical stuff seems to just take out the creativity of the game. Makes it easier to make a decision to hey, I'm doing what the analytics say instead of
exactly, instead of getting your ass chewed.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big part that's missing.
Yeah. You went to South Alabama for college, and one of the guys who was such a big influence on me and my career was Jim Crawford. Crawdaddy. We talked about it. He used to coach at South Alabama. I've got a million Crawdaddy stories, but you knew him as well too, man. I mean, like what a great character he was, and someone that we all miss right now.
Yeah. I mean, big time. I didn't have a lot of opportunities to sit down and just talk baseball with him, if you know what I mean. I'd see him when he'd come around when he was, I guess, scouting at the time. Yeah. But
he loved you though.
The one thing about him, yes,
because I heard him, if Crawdaddy was Jake, if he either liked you or you hated him. Well, he liked John, so I knew that.
I think he was just a no nonsense guy that he just didn't put up with BS, and he knew what he wanted to get from you, and you better be able to do it. Come through. And and a lot of that I think came from Ronnie Powell, my pitching coach at the time under Coach Kittrell. Back in college, that made me that way. And obviously I think Crawdaddy, I think came along after that, after CP wore my ass out a little bit.
Well, Crawdaddy was there with Eddie Stanky, who's like a baseball legend, and they coached at your college too. It was Eddie Stanky and Crawdaddy, like part of that. Crawdaddy was like Eddie Stanky's right hand man at South Alabama.
Stanky Field.
Yeah, right. But I mean, like just having beers with Crawdaddy, I mean, you had to hear about anybody that went to South Alabama was very, very elevated.
Well, let me tell you.
If you played for the Cubs and you were from South Alabama, oh man.
Let me tell you a story about Stanky real quick. I don't know if you've heard this.
I never met him, so.
So, it's my junior year, right? And he, Coach Kittrell would have him come in and he'd give these speeches to the guys. We're all sitting in these, it's a classroom up there, and we're kind of slouching a little bit, like, he's walking real slow, he's 78 or whatever, 79. And, you think he's just going to get up there and just kind of start talking, right? Well, he gets up there and he goes, South Alabama, we don't rebuild, we reload. And I mean, you talk about, he had the podium and everything. And I mean, I kid you not. You talk about heads jumping up. And I mean, just went into a spill and his veins are popping out. And I mean, You know, it was awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's where we got the attitude from.
Yeah, right.
You know, Stanky built that program.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And it carried over to Crawdaddy. And, you know, that's where Crawdaddy got the attitude.
Oh, yeah.
And Coach Kittrell. And
Yeah.
I mean, one of the best of all time, though.
Yeah. Well, you were at Cubs convention. I've talked about it, guys. I've been to probably 10 or 11 of those Cubs conventions. I saw you were there this year. What was that experience like?
Love it. Every year is it's such an honor, and I'm so grateful I have the opportunity to go back, and not just for myself, but to be able to take my kids.
Oh, I bet they love that.
Yeah, my wife, my kids have been a part of it. You know, I mean, since even since I've retired.
Yeah.
You know, and luckily, you know, I've stayed in good contact with some of the people in the front office there, and had that opportunity. Yeah, I don't understand why I keep getting called back, but
I think Jim likes you.
I'm gonna keep going. As long as
had nothing to do with your pitches.
Yeah, no.
But
the 20-game season. You know? Which honestly, I don't even know. 20 games now, winning 20 games is like such a distant memory in the game of baseball.
It's going to become, I think, non-existent. You know,
it's crazy to think
it's well, if they keep up the same way that they rotate pitchers in and out. I mean, I've heard, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought I've heard where they possibly start doing pitchers going 3 innings. You know,
please don't tell me that.
3.
What's the point in having a rotation anymore?
That's the thing. Yeah, I mean, you know, I hope that's not the case, because that's I've always loved baseball. To me, the best part was, or the exciting part was, when you got to the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning.
Oh yeah, I call the 8th and the 9th on my broadcast the business end.
Yeah,
and I got that from a coach at Barton College who he would say that there goes the business end of the game. But he's exactly right, man. Like the last couple innings are so
where you really find out.
That's you find out, man. I mean, getting those last outs, you know.
Yeah, look pretty 1 through 6.
Yeah, right. I don't know why it's like that. Getting the last out is really tough.
Oh yeah.
Well, it's just because you're as a starting pitcher, you're told to finish every game.
Yeah,
and that's what we want to do. But you know, if it doesn't work out, well, you're hoping that, hey, these guys at the other end, can finish the job.
Yeah, and only has to hold on for a couple innings.
Yeah,
yeah.
And sometimes it doesn't happen. And I think that's the beautiful aspect of baseball, is you never know what can happen.
Yeah. All right. The last thing we're gonna talk about, and then we're gonna close it. But you and I got to get back together and do this again. I've noticed that, you know, in the Cubs they signed Shota Imanaga from Japan. They have Seiya Suzuki from Japan. You know, Ichiro and Hideki Matsui and Nomo and those guys came over. But I've noticed that with Ohtani and the Japanese game has gotten so elevated over the last couple of years, you know, like probably the last 10 years. And I love the way that these guys are so dedicated to the craft, and they're such guys that are team oriented, and the passion that they have for the game. Did you think that there was going to come a time where the Japanese player was going to be so influential on the game of baseball? And Ohtani's the best player in the world right now.
Well, I think there's no doubt about that. I mean, I think we're already starting to see it. Guys coming out of the Dominican or Venezuela, some countries over in Europe.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you know, I'm with you 100%. Ohtani's best player in the game right
now. It's like he really is Babe Ruth.
Yeah. I mean, to do
it's crazy, man.
Pitch and hit.
Yeah, right. And it like great, you know.
Exactly. So
but the other guys are coming in too, and they're good. You know, it was like there was Ichiro, but it wasn't like we had like 25 other guys that were really good.
Yeah.
Now it's like you get these guys and they come in and, man, they're just good players.
Yeah.
Ready to go major leaguers.
They're ready to go. You know, they may not have had the success like they had over there, you know, their numbers. I think they're very good major leaguers. Without a doubt. You know, I think the talent wise obviously is a little bit better, obviously, here in America, but no question though that they're ready to come here and contribute right away.
Yeah, it's fun to see kind of like a global game, you know, and the World Baseball Classic and all of that stuff. But I'm excited about seeing what, you know, Shota Imanaga does this year, what the Cubs do. And I love I just love the discipline that they have in Japan with baseball.
Oh, they take it. Yeah. I mean, it's the regiment is very.
I've seen Trevor Bauer talk really highly of Japanese baseball.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, I know he'd be playing in the league in the MLB if he could.
I've told you, well, you don't know this, but I'm for him coming back.
I mean, yeah.
And I wish the Cubs would sign him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's a travesty what happened to him, but I mean.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I mean, you got to go check out the video on his Facebook page.
Oh, you hadn't seen all that? You don't. I don't want to get into all that, but it's crazy.
We'll talk about it off.
But
yeah, kind of not a good situation for him, and not
so he
his
kind of
fault.
got buried, huh?
He got buried,
man,
and he's being blackballed right now. And
and it was a setup deal from the start.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
I know he was weird on the
Well, he's a
field
weird
and all
dude.
that,
Yeah, I know. And he played for the Bay Bears, and I've heard all the weird stuff.
And it's one thing if you do that, but I've seen all the evidence.
You saw
and
the
all
same
that
thing.
stuff.
Me too, man.
I know.
It's
sad.
Yeah, I'm not going to comment then because I'm going off of I guess what I'm going off of a story of him pitching here, and he was getting shellacked, and he wanted to come out of the game.
Oh, he made a lot of bad mistakes,
and I was just like, it just rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah,
and I think that's one of the reasons why it's been tough for him to get back in, because there's a lot of stories about that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
like where he didn't make the best decision, and but I'm with you.
I'd like to hear more about that.
Yeah,
on another.
Yeah, but look, man, great hanging out with you. By the way,
dude, this is one of my best nights in a while. So,
hey, this is the same here. He told me you were coming
anytime.
Yeah, that's no. Hey, look, I honestly, from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank both of you guys for having me over.
Thank you.
I mean, this is phenomenal. I mean, the whole setup. I don't know if anybody else can see this, but
we have a good time here.
Yeah, this is awesome.
All right. Well, look, thanks for hanging out with us, guys.
Yeah,
thank you, John. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. Thanks for hanging out. Get in the comment section and, talk about it. Hey, I love to tangle with you guys over Sammy Sosa, who I think belongs. I think he belongs in the Cubs Hall of Fame for sure. And I would love to see that. But we'll have John back on again. And, we'll be hanging out with you right here on the Cubs baseball channel. And we'll talk to you again really soon. Go Cubs.